A heretic is not just a sinner. A heretic is a sentence. By the time an institution speaks the word, the trial is already over. The evidence has been arranged. The witnesses have been chosen. The punishment is only waiting for its proper name. That is what the word means in Ivalice. Not theological error. Not spiritual failure. Erasure. To be branded a heretic is to be cut loose from law, from shelter, from memory itself. No ally may defend you without sharing your fate. No truth may save you. In time, the verdict becomes the truth. By Chapter 3, Ramza Beoulve has survived the lie of nobility, the compromise of mercenary life. He has seen what crowns protect, what churches conceal, what power demands in exchange for belonging. Now, something patient is hunting him. Not for what he has done, for what he knows. And in Ivalice, knowledge is the one crime no throne or altar can forgive. History does not remember the heretic. It remembers the verdict. By the end of this chapter, the word heretic will mean something different to you. Not an accusation, an inheritance. The Church of Glabados is not merely a religion. It is the ideological architecture of Ivalice itself. Its rites sanctify kings. Its doctrine stabilizes class. Its language decides who belongs within civilization and who must be cast beyond it. To be named a heretic in such a world is not to lose an argument. It is to lose standing. No sanctuary, no lawful protection, no place in the order of things. The word does not describe a crime. It creates a condition. Once spoken, it makes every hand free to turn against you. By Chapter 3, Ramza is no longer merely a fugitive from the church. He is a man who has seen too much to be permitted back inside the world as it is arranged. Nowhere is that clearer than in Lassalia. When Ramza confronts Zalbag, he does not plead for mercy. He does not soften what he knows. He states it plainly. The war is theater. The church is not preserving order, but manipulating collapse. Dystarg's hand is not near the center of the plot. It is the center. Zalbag cannot accept it. Part of that refusal is political. Part of it is personal. To believe Ramza would mean admitting that the Beoulve name, the family honor, the entire structure he still serves, has already rotted from within. So he does what institutions always do when truth arrives in an unforgivable form. He rejects the messenger. This is where the Beoulve house closes to Ramza. Not because he has failed it, but because he has understood it too clearly. Whatever family he still carried in name ends here. The last door does not swing shut. It is slammed. And the irony is exact. The word heretic is spoken by the institution concealing the actual heresy. The church names Ramza an enemy not because he profanes truth, but because he has come too close to it. He has seen that faith has been made into strategy, relic into leverage, war into machinery. He has looked at the sacred order of Ivalice and seen the machine beneath it. That is enough. The church did not brand him a heretic because he was wrong. They branded him because he was right, and kept walking anyway. Chapter 1 was about a name. Chapter 2 was about what that name cost. Chapter 3 is about what remains when both are gone. The links are in the description. Read the trial before the verdict. At Orban Monastery, Ramza finally uncovers what the church has fought to keep buried. Not a relic, a mechanism. Elder Simon is dying when Ramza reaches him, wounded, struggling for breath, too close to death to keep defending the story he once served. And in that final hour, he does the one thing institutions fear most from their faithful. He tells the truth. The Virgo Stone, Simon reveals, was never protected for faith alone. It was preserved because it carried value. Political value, symbolic value, leverage dressed in the language of sanctity. Princess Ovilia's claim, the legend of Saint Ajora, the authority of the church itself. All of it rests on objects people were taught to revere and never to question. The church did not simply exploit the Lion War once it began. It helped feed it. It prolonged it. It positioned itself to inherit what would remain after the dukes had bled each other dry. Simon makes the design unmistakable. Marcel and his followers meant to turn Larg and Goltana against one another, gather the Zodiac Stones, revive the legend of the Zodiac Braves, and use that miracle to raise the church above crown and nobility alike. That is the first layer of the lie. The second is worse. The Zodiac Stones are not merely holy symbols. They are not passive relics or harmless emblems of a glorious past. They are vessels, anchors through which something older, darker, and more patient presses back into the world. The stories call them signs of divine favor. Ramza is beginning to understand that they are closer to doors, and that they only open for the right kind of soul. Wounded, desperate, proud, hollowed out enough to let something else enter. Even Marcel's ambition is not the deepest layer. He wants supremacy. He wants the church not to just guide Ivalice, but to rule it in fact as well as doctrine. Yet, the real tragedy is that Marcel does not fully understand the forces he is helping awaken. His plan is political restoration staged as sacred spectacle. What stands behind it is older than politics and far less human. By chapter 3, the truth is becoming impossible to ignore. Even the High Confessor is being used. Isilud Tengil arrives not as a cackling villain, but as a believer. He speaks with the conviction of a man who still believes sacrifice can redeem a broken world. He believes in Ajora. He believes the old order deserves to fall. He believes history can be forced toward justice if the right blood is spilled. Ramza answers him not with rhetoric, but with clarity. He sees the mechanism now. The war is being engineered. The stones are not blessings, but instruments. The promised revolution is not liberation, but recruitment. Whatever Isilud believes he is building, someone else laid its foundation long before he arrived. Isilud cannot hear him. That is what ideology does at its hardest edge. It makes evidence sound like betrayal. It turns warning into insult. By the time Ramza speaks, Isilud's faith has already hardened beyond reason. So Isilud escapes with the stone. The confrontation resolves nothing. No mind changes, no revelation reaches him. and that failure matters. By now, the architecture of the lie is complete. A civilization built on faith, stabilized by symbolism, manipulated through legend, and steered by men who believe they are the architects even as they serve something deeper than themselves. They built a civilization of faith on a foundation of manipulation. And the thing beneath it is waking. But the conspiracy is not the hardest thing Ramza faces in Chapter 3. The hardest thing is a man who already knew the answer and chose wrong anyway. Wiegraf Folles matters because he is not a monster at the beginning. He is one of the last men in Ivalice who once tried to name suffering plainly, leader of the Corpse Brigade, a son of the war's aftermath, a common-born knight who spoke for men discarded the moment peace was signed. When the nobles called the poor ungrateful, Wiegraf called them abandoned. When the kingdom called rebellion criminal, Wiegraf called it consequence. His grievance was real. At its root, his cause was not madness, but recognition. This is what makes him dangerous. And that is what makes him tragic. The parallel to Ramza is not accidental. It is the argument. Both men looked at the same kingdom and saw the same rot. Both watched institutions sanctify injustice. Both tried, in their own ways, to resist a world built on rank, blood, and licensed cruelty. Both lost what anchored them. Both learned that truth does not protect the one who speaks it. But from there, their paths divide. Wiegraf loses everything in pieces. First, the brigade, then the cause, then the illusion that righteous anger can sustain either. And finally Maluda, his sister, his ally, the one person who made the struggle feel shared instead of solitary. Each loss hollows him further. Strip enough from a man, and what remains is no longer conviction, but vacancy. And vacancy is dangerous, because rage, for all its violence, is still a form of belief. Rage says the world is wrong and ought to be remade. But once rage burns through itself, what remains is colder, emptier, more willing. Ramza turns loss into clarity. That is his rarest trait. He does not become gentler. He becomes sharper. Every betrayal strips away illusion without stripping away his humanity. He loses faith in institutions, but not in people. He loses his house, his rank, his protection, but not the conviction that suffering means something. Not the certainty that power without justice is rot dressed in ceremony. Wiegraf cannot make that turn. He reaches the point where loss stops clarifying and starts consuming. The cause that once gave structure to his suffering is gone. The poor he once spoke for are no longer people to defend, but an absence he cannot repair. The world has not simply defeated him. It has emptied him of any future worth imagining. That is the condition in which the Lucavi stone finds him. Not in triumph, not in ceremony, in exhaustion. That matters. Wiegraf does not accept the stone because he suddenly becomes monstrous. He accepts it because he is tired of being the man who loses. tired of burying what he loves, tired of standing in truth and being ground beneath the machinery anyway. This is what makes the surrender so frightening. It is quiet. It is not even fully ideological. It is the moment a man stops believing in anything except the need never to be powerless again. And the stone answers. At Riovanes, Wiegraf becomes Bellius. The body remains. The voice, for a time, still sounds familiar. But the man is gone. What made him a man, his cause, his grief, his damaged sense of justice, is consumed and translated into something simpler, cleaner, and far more useful to the Lucavi. Power without burden. Rage without object. Force without conscience. Everything Wiegraf once represented dies in that exchange. The poor vanish from his language. Justice vanishes. Truth vanishes. Even revenge, in the human sense, becomes irrelevant. Bellius does not care what Wiegraf suffered. Bellius only needs a door through which to enter. Two men, the same wound, one still standing. The question is not who wins. The question is what winning costs. That is why the duel matters so much. On the surface, it is the game's most exact confrontation. Ramza against Wiegraf. Then Ramza against Bellius. Knight against fallen knight. Man against demon. Underneath, it is something even more exact. It is a philosophical argument made physical. Two men who once stood, however differently, against the same world. Two men marked by the same kingdom's cruelty. Two men who learned that institutions grind down anyone who refuses their old script. One held. One broke. Ramza's victory is not measured simply by surviving the fight. It is measured by what he refuses. He refuses the conversion Wiegraf accepted. He refuses the logic that says pain justifies surrender. That truth without victory is meaningless. That power is worth the death of the self required to obtain it. He wins because he remains intact. Not untouched, not unscarred, but unconverted. That is the whole victory. Bellius falls. Wiegraf dies. And with him dies one of the last alternate futures Ivalice might have offered. A man of real grievance turned into proof that grievance alone is not enough. If suffering is all a man has left, sooner or later something else will offer to inhabit it. You do not grieve the thing Wiegraf became, but you do remember what he was before. Because what he was before, wounded, lucid, furious at the structure of the world, is exactly what Ramza still is. If that distinction matters to you, if you think history ought to remember what men refuse to become, then mark this. The algorithm forgets what isn't witnessed. Riovanes Castle is where Chapter 3 stops implying and starts proving. Until now, Ramza has been gathering fragments. Corrupted relics, dying confessions, engineered wars, believers serving causes they do not fully understand. At Riovanes, every one of those threads pulls tight at once. The place itself feels built for revelation. Isolated, fortified, raised above the world as if secrecy could be turned into stone. It is not just a castle meant to withstand assault. It is a castle meant to hold truth inside and till it sours. And inside it, everything comes apart at once. Rafa and Marak embody that collapse in miniature. The Skyseer and the Netherseer, siblings shaped into instruments, then turned against the world by forces far larger than themselves. Their presence at Riovanes is brief, but it reveals something precise. The Church does not only exploit faith or war, it exploits blood, family, dependency. It takes what should anchor a person and remakes it as leverage. Ramza understands that pattern because House Beoulve taught him long ago that in Ivalice, kinship is never safe from power. Then comes Isilud. He arrives at Riovanes still carrying the remains of conviction, still trying to believe that what he serves means something beyond obedience. But his father's purpose can no longer be hidden. Folmarv does not want reform. He does not want justice. He does not even want the Church's victory in any human sense. Too late, Isilud sees what his idealism has been helping sustain. Something colder than belief and far less merciful. That is what makes Isilud tragic. He is not destroyed because he lacks conviction. He is destroyed because he gave his conviction to the wrong altar. And Ramza is fighting on 3 fronts at once. There is the immediate battle. Temple knights, assassins, demons, the physical machinery of the conspiracy finally made visible. There is the intellectual burden, the growing weight of what he now knows and cannot unknow. Beneath both is the personal cost, still rising even as he keeps surviving. That is the pattern of Riovanes. Nothing resolves cleanly. Every answer opens another wound. Every victory arrives tied to another loss. Ramza defeats Wiegraf. Bellius falls. But the castle does not open. It deepens. Riovanes leaves Ramza with certainty at the exact moment certainty becomes unbearable. The Lucavi are real. The Church's corruption runs deeper than politics. Folmarv's purpose reaches beyond the war. Every institution Ramza once thought might contain evil has already made room for it. Riovanes is not a battlefield. It is a proof. Every castle in Ivalice hides something. Riovanes hides everything. By Chapter 3, Alma Beoulve is no longer just Ramza's sister in the story. She is the last human bond in his life that still belongs wholly to him. Not house, not title, not duty. Her. That matters because Alma is the last person in Ivalice who knew Ramza before any of this. Before the verdict. Before the exile. Before the word heretic was fastened to his name. More importantly, she chooses him. She does not follow him by accident. She moves with him toward the truth, even as that truth grows more dangerous, because she trusts the man carrying it. That makes her irreplaceable, and it makes her valuable to the wrong people. By the time Ramza reaches Riovanes, Folmarv Tengil's purpose is no longer difficult to read. He is not there for conquest, not for the dukes, not for the war, not for any ordinary political end. He is there to claim what the conspiracy has been moving toward from the beginning. Not someone, something. Alma is not taken because she is a Beoulve. She is taken because she is chosen, prepared, suitable to become the body through which Ultima may return, in ways almost no one around her fully understands. the language of hostage-taking no longer fits. A hostage is meant to be exchanged. Alma is meant to be used. That is what makes the moment so brutal. Ramza defeats Wiegraf. Bellius falls. On the surface, it looks like victory, the kind chroniclers like to call clean. The demon is slain. The immediate threat is broken. And it means nothing. Because while Ramza is winning the battle in front of him, Fulmarv is already changing the war itself. Alma is taken in seconds. The ground shifts beneath Ramza before he can even stand inside the victory he has earned. That is Chapter 3 made manifest. He wins, and the world answers by moving the loss somewhere else. By now, Ramza has already lost almost everything that once gave him standing in the world. His house is gone to him. His name is stained. The church has cast him out. The crown would never hear him. His brothers have either abandoned him or been consumed by the very thing he is fighting. Every institution that once told him who he was has either condemned him or collapsed around him. And now Alma is taken too. What this creates in Ramza is not theatrical grief, not rage in any ordinary sense. It is something colder, narrower, and more dangerous than either. A hardening that is not cruelty, but concentration. The last thing in the world that could have still called him backward, back to memory, back to family, back to the life before all this, has been torn away and repurposed by the same machinery he has been trying to outrun. Here, something crystallizes. The search for truth and the need to save Alma become the same motion. There is no longer a private Ramza and a public one. No moral witness separate from the brother. Those selves collapse into one another. The man fighting the hidden war and the man trying to save his sister become the same man. And once that happens, there is nothing left in him that can be bargained with. Only forward. He had already saved Ivalice 12 times before anyone knew to call it salvation. Then Ivalice took the only person still left to witness it. By the end of Chapter 3, Ramza Beoulve has been stripped to the bone. No house, no church, no crown, no family left standing beside him. Everything that once gave him a place in the world has either condemned him or collapsed under its own corruption. The institutions that once defined legitimacy in Ivalice, blood, faith, rank, law, have all released their claim on him. Or perhaps he released himself from them first. And that is the moment the word heretic changes. Until now, it has been an accusation, a sentence spoken by others, a mark meant to isolate, discredit, and erase. Here, it becomes something else. A title. Accurate. Earned. His. Because Ramza no longer stands outside the order by accident. He stands there by conviction. He has seen what the world is built on, and he has refused every bargain it offered. He will not lie for power. He will not kneel for safety. He will not surrender his humanity in exchange for victory. That is what the heretic carries. Not only exile. Clarity. It is no longer defined by any institution. He is no longer answerable to one. He is defined only by what he refuses to become. If you followed this chronicle from the beginning, you already know what he carries. If you're new to Ivalice Insider, subscribe. The Chronicle is not finished. Neither is the Heresy. And this is what leads into what comes next. What kind of man keeps moving when there will be no record? No witness, no reward, no history willing to keep his name. What does it mean to save a world determined to erase you? They called him Heretic. History called him nothing. He went anyway. Chapter 4 will answer that, in ways Ramza does not survive unchanged.